last time we talked about the 10 things that you need to do in order to prepare. There are also many things that people habitually or frequently do to sabotage their appeal without obviously intending to, but there are certain patterns that people follow, and if you fall into one of these patterns, you're going to have a good chance of being denied because of your own behavior. The first way to sabotage your driver's license appeal is to keep drinking or doing drugs. You'll do a drug test when you come in. If you test positive for any substances that are not prescribed to you, you'll be automatically denied by the hearing officer. And also, if you take too long a time between the time you do the evaluation and the time you do the drug screen, you'll be denied. Even if you don't test positive, if you talk like a person who drinks or uses drugs, there's a difference in conversation, there's a difference in the way you come across that you probably would not even be aware of unless you were indeed a sober person. So if you're still using, the chances are you're going to be denied even if you have not been caught at it in a long time and there's no record of it. The hearing officers are pretty smart people. They're used to talking to recovered alcoholics, and they're used to filtering out people who are recovering from substance abuse and people who are still abusing. And they will pick up on certain clues. Complain about the fact that you're here to begin with, and how badly you've been mistreated, and how you don't deserve this, and how the cops are waiting for you outside the bar. Anything that you say that is construed as denial that you are the problem, that says somebody else is the problem, is going to be a red flag to a hearing officer. It's going to single you out as somebody who has not yet accepted that he has a problem. And if he hasn't accepted that he has a problem, he probably hasn't accepted that he has the need for a solution. You must admit that you have a problem before you're going to be able to convince anybody you have a solution to the problem. The third thing relates to the second sabotage method, and it's saying I wasn't that bad, minimizing your drinking or drugging behavior, and saying it really wasn't that bad. If you must have 2 or more DUIs or substance-related convictions to have your license taken away. And if you have 2 or more, then your problem as far as the state is concerned. They assume that you've drank and drove or drugged and drove many times before you actually got caught. So if you are getting caught, you are a problem for the state. You are endangering yourself, you are endangering other drivers, and the hearing officer wants to be very clear that you accept the fact that this is not acceptable behavior. If you think it's acceptable behavior, that you're doing the same thing that everybody else is and they're picking on you, then you're not going to come across as a person who is providing clear and convincing evidence that their substance abuse problem is under control and likely to remain so. The fourth thing is to give inaccurate information. Leave a couple of convictions off your evaluation. I've had people do that, and most of the time, if there's anything missing from your evaluation, you are going to be denied. I've even had people who had all of their convictions listed on the evaluation go into the hearing and dispute the convictions that are on their record with the hearing officer. And he's got in black and white how many times you've been arrested and convicted of substance abuse offenses. And again, it's not just drinking and driving offenses they're concerned about, it's anything to do with substance abuse. If you were arrested for minor possession, if you were arrested for possession of marijuana, even though you might have been told that the offense was expunged, you're still always better to put it down, because if they have something that you don't tell them, it's going to look like you're being dishonest and you're probably going to get denied. If you are not a member of AA and do not practice the 12 steps and do not go to meetings, you still may be sober. You may have many years of sobriety. And you have to make the case for what you're doing. I always tell people, make the case for what you're doing. Don't try to make the case for what you're not doing. However, AA is a tried and true method of recovery for many people. It's really the preferred method that they like to see when you go for a hearing. If you're involved in AA and you can talk the AA talk and you have support of AA people who are writing letters on your behalf, and you're able to express gratitude for your sobriety, they have a good level of confidence that you're going to remain abstinent. You can do it other ways. You may have strong family connections, you may have strong church ties, you may have been to prison and learned something from that experience. There are other ways, and if that's the case, we make that case. I always say it's better to make a good case for what you're doing than a bad case for what you're not doing. You must know and be able to tell the hearing officer why you relapsed if you have a history of relapse. Typically, people have periods of sobriety and then they go back to drinking. Now, oftentimes the reason for the relapse would be that someone who was active in AA stopped going and thought that they could handle one drink like everybody else. They could be a social drinker again. If that's the case, then you have to tell them that. But you also have to tell them what's different about this time. Why is it that you're going to stay sober this time when you were sober for 5 years before and you relapsed and picked up another DUI? This is a tough case. This is where you have to really make a strong case. And if you can make the strong case by saying, well, this time I am involved in AA, this time I am going to meetings, this time I am working the steps and have a sponsor, these things are very helpful to you. If you cannot say that, if you're not an active AA member, you still have to be able to show them how you've turned a corner and what's different about you this time, so that you're going to be able to avoid that pitfall. For example, you stopped hanging around with people that drink. You stopped going to bars. You stay away from functions where alcohol is served. They say in AA it's a good idea to stay away from wet faces and wet places. If you like to go to concerts but you have a tendency to drink or smoke drugs at a concert, then it's probably a good idea that you stay away from that environment. That is a very big issue with hearing officers. They don't want you to be around alcohol or drug abuse, and especially they don't want you to be around it in your home. So if you are married or living with somebody, if they are a substance user, that does not help you in your case. The important thing is you have to give them a reason for why you relapse, and a reason that's going to be different this time. You can't just simply say, I don't know. Method number 7 is to try to control the interview. When people come to see me for evaluations, there are certain things that they want to tell me. I understand that. However, there's a structure to this interview. I have to go through the information that the state wants. The state asks certain questions. They have forms that are available. SOS Form 257, 258 is available online. It tells you everything the state wants to know. Some of that is information that you fill out, some of that is information that I fill out. But I have to get the information the state wants. It doesn't help me if you're giving me information that is irrelevant or information that's out of order. So don't try to control the interview. It's to get the cheapest evaluation you can find. If you go price shopping, you'll always find somebody cheaper. But do they know what they're doing? This is a complex process. It's gotten a lot more complicated just during the time that I've been doing it. And if you have somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, they're going to make certain assumptions that may not be true. For example, a lot of people that do this want to put their person in the best possible light so they minimize his drinking or drugging behavior. Well, if minimizing is an indication to a lot of hearing officers that you're still in denial. So it's better to get somebody who is experienced, who knows what they're doing, and pay a fair price, but be prepared, because most of these cases are won or lost before you ever walk into the hearing. If you have bad evidence, nothing you can do can salvage your case. Is to pretend you're an AA member when you're not. If you tell them you're an AA, they are going to expect you to be able to say what meetings you go to. If you have a sponsor, they're going to expect you to know the steps. They're going to expect you to be able to tell them what actions you've taken on the steps. They're going to expect you to know some of the AA lingo. They're going to expect you to know the Serenity Prayer and how meetings are conducted. And if you don't know those things, they're going to either figure that you're not going and that you're getting your signatures at the bar, or that you are going but you're just taking up space and you're not really invested. And if you're not invested, then they're going to figure that you're just doing it to show them that you're doing something without really doing something. So again, make a good case for what you are doing. Don't make a bad case for what you're not doing. I tell people, never fake trying to being an AA. Never try to fake being an AA. Say what you are doing. There are other ways to make the case, and we will make your individual case if you are one of those people who got sober in another way. But tell the truth and make the best case for what you are doing. Don't try to make a case for what you're not doing. Don't try to pretend you are something you're not. They will see through it. They know this. They do this every day. And you're much better off telling the truth than to try to pretend you're something that you're not. Those are the 10 ways to sabotage your driver's license appeal. Hopefully you will not do any of those. But we will also go over all of this when you come in for your evaluation, and you will be prepared for your hearing. And we will also give you a free copy of this book, Get Your Michigan Driver's License Back, that I wrote with my friend Matthew Zick, an attorney who does many of these substance abuse cases and driver's license appeals. Thank you.